Welcome to this next mini lecture on tantric techniques and tantric massage and tantra for couples. My name is Cyan Pascal. I'm the founder of the Light Collective. We're an online yoga school. If learning more about the tradition, the practices of yoga, and the wisdom of yoga is something you're into, feel free to click subscribe below or head to our website to find out more about our trainings and courses. So a lot of people will be fascinated with this idea of tantric sex. And this, I think, sort of all became really big and public in the 70s or 80s when Sting said that he could make love for like 7 hours thanks to Tantra. And I think if you want to have a much deeper understanding of what Tantra is, then you can read over our blog post, or you can access some of the other videos that we've made around the topic of Tantra. What I will say is that there were traditionally one or two practices that involved food, wine, and sex or lovemaking as part of a kind of pretty intense left-hand path, but it was only for initiates. I would be very surprised if those practices are still happening today. And if you meet a yoga teacher or some kind of self-proclaimed guru who is saying to you that they're going to show you this kind of ancient practice, and I would just say get out of there as quickly as you can, because unfortunately within this tradition there are some well-meaning practitioners and there are a lot of downright abusive teachers and practitioners. So you need to be very, very careful with who you trust your body and your energy body with. There are probably 100 million books out there and 100 million other channels that are going to be detailing how to have tantric lovemaking. It's all very shrouded in mystery. And what I'd like to do today is talk a little bit more about it, but use perhaps a more accurate term of sacred sexuality or spiritual sexuality. Go back to the videos to find out why I am doing that. So I like to think of sacred sexuality practices as having maybe 6 points to what makes this sacred sexuality practice so special. The first thing that happens within sacred sexuality practices or spiritual sexuality, whether it is in a couple or solo, because you can do a lot of these practices on your own to prepare for being in coupleship or to just enjoy the experience on your own, or you can do them with a partner as well. The first thing is breath work. Learning how to breathe in a variety of ways. And we have a whole bunch of tutorials on the YouTube website and on our online studio as well around breath work. This is a kind of fundamental key, because what it does is it allows a kind of flexibility in the way you breathe, which is really important during sacred sexual practices and lovemaking. But it also opens you up to this sensation or feeling of prana and life force. This is really key. So if you're wanting to get into these practices, first things first, learn how to breathe properly. Learn pranayama techniques. The second aspect that I would say is really powerful when it comes to sacred sexuality and spirituality is eye gazing. And this is something that you can do with a mirror if you're solo. And learning to gaze at your own self lovingly and get really intimate with yourself is really important. And it's a practice that you can do with friends or a partner. And it's about being able to sit in your body and gaze at another person and experience them and let them experience you with really great intimacy. And I encourage that you do this before any other kind of wild sexual position, right? Because to be honest, like the Kama Sutra has nothing to do with, it's a beautiful book, it really is, but it doesn't have anything to do with the tantric tradition. But if we're talking about sacred sexuality, then what I would say is do an eye gazing practice put on a beautiful song, sit across from your partner and get really intimate with them for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And this then starts to move into lovemaking. And when you can gaze at your partner through all kinds of lovemaking, from like traditional lovemaking, like missionary position, to oral lovemaking and everything in between, when you can look at someone, it stops being a kind of like solo masturbation experience for someone where it's like, it's all about me. I'm going into my own zone and I'm kind of, it doesn't, you could be anyone kind of experience. When you're eye gazing with someone, there is this beautiful, deep intimacy that happens, and this makes the process sacred. The third aspect is massage. So when people are like tantric massage, really, touch is so key and fundamental to creating deepening states of intimacy. So giving your partner a massage that doesn't have to lead to anything. It's relaxing, it creates intimacy, it creates a lot of pleasure in the body. It's a really, really powerful thing to do for another person. And you could utilize it as part of lovemaking if you wanted to as well. Now, you might have heard of yoni massage or lingam massage, and this is specific massage techniques on female or male genitalia. And you can go to practitioners to get this. And I would say, again, I am super on high alert when it comes to the world of neo-tantra because there are a lot of abusive people out there. I would suggest be very careful before you pay somebody to do anything to your body. But you can learn some of those techniques. There's plenty of stuff online, and it's really about, I suppose, when it comes to sacred sexuality, not Tantra, because Tantra is a very different thing, but sacred sexuality is all about expanding pleasure and exploring new ways of doing things. So massage and touch of the whole body and also around the genitals can be a beautiful way to do this. The fourth aspect is time. So slowing things down. Like, how often are you doing it so quickly because you really want to get to the end goal, or you've got the kids in the other room and you don't have any time? Sacred sexuality is about slowing things down and expanding the pleasure as a result. So you don't just feel pleasure for the last 20 seconds of your lovemaking or like 5 minutes or whatever. You are expanding that pleasure and pulsing it and just like riding the wave for as long a period of time as you want to. So that aspect of time then feeds into number 5, which is releasing from the need to orgasm. Now, this is something that's more important for men. You can find out about that through some incredible teachers like Mantak Chia, who is a Taoist practitioner, and he teaches men how to cultivate Jing sexual energy in their body. And what happens with women is usually slightly different. I teach different practices for women. Even though I was first taught the male practitioners, I had to unwind my body so much. It can be really nice for both parties to play with releasing from the need to orgasm, because what it can do is take that mind of destination, like I've got to get there, I've got to get to the orgasm, and have this feeling like, well, if I didn't orgasm, then we didn't make love. And that kind of gets thrown out the window with spiritual sexuality, and it becomes a journey of pleasure and feeling and touch and adventure. And you start to become a lot more adventurous when you're not trying to reach the end goal, because that end goal usually, especially in coupleship, comes from doing 1 + 2 + 3 equals, oh my God, what's 1 + 2 + 3? 6, the orgasm. So what I mean is we get stuck in ruts in the way we make love because we're only trying to get to orgasm. The 6th aspect is around energy. So learning to cultivate erotic energy is really powerful. This is a huge part of the sexual spirituality scene. So you can do this through the breath. You can do that through lovemaking and coupleship. And then with that energy, you can then orgasm and release it, or you can use it to kind of create focus in your life or give you the creative passion to, I don't know, paint a canvas or build a house or whatever it is that you need to. The thing about the last 2 points around orgasm and around energy is that you got to be really careful in coupleship with this, because sometimes on this path there can be an obsessive quality that comes in, which can lead to the demise of relationships. Or one person wants to do it and the other person is like, no way am I giving up my orgasm. You're insane. Go ahead, you can do it if you want to. And then there becomes a kind of a selfish relationship where one person doesn't have to take care of the other. So just be really careful with the dynamics that can arise from working in neo-tantric practices and sacred spirituality practices. And on a last note, it's really important to me. I have this duty of care, this word of caution. You may be currently on the lookout for Tantra workshops and other kind of exciting, sexy experiences, and you have this perhaps kind of quite pure yearning to expand yourself in that way. But just know that not everyone in the neo-tantric world, also known as just the Tantra world, has your best interests at heart. And I would say ensure that you check their qualifications. Check whether they have come from any schools that have been ousted for abuse. And you can find some information on this through Yoni Shakti, which is a book through Uma Dinsmore Tully, or look up allegations and the name of the school or the name of the teacher. Talk to the teacher, so give them a call and just check in. Are they willing to answer your questions? This is also a good sign. Ensure that you understand the content of the training. Are you going to a classical tantric training? Is it neo-tantric? Will you be expected to get nude? Is there going to be partner work? Be really careful, go in aware, and also check in with how the teaching staff respond to the ideas of agency and consent. Look up agency and consent if you don't know what that means, because it's huge. It's a huge part of this work. Lastly, just ensure that when you're talking to that practitioner, that you tune into how you feel. Don't be bombarded by charismatic teachers who want to get you in the door and naked. Really, how do you feel? Do you feel icky around that person? Or are you like, oh, they're not talking things that align with me? Then you don't have to do it. And this can come up even in the middle of a course. If something feels wrong, if a teacher doesn't feel aligned with you, then know that you can exit. Give yourself agency to leave the course at any time if this comes up. Thank you so much for listening to this little intro into the kind of world of sacred spirituality. If you are keen and you're wanting to expand upon the feminine within yourself, we have the Sacred Woman, which is a course that we run for women and those who identify with the female body, usually once or twice a year. So check in on our website or click the subscribe button to find out more about the juicy world of Tantra. Thank you.